Hey, it's Josh here at North Akron Fit Body Bootcamp. Do you want stronger shoulders that can do more work and get you better results? Well, I'm here with Dr. Tim Pavlak to help.
Hey guys, I'm Dr. Pavlak. I own Physio Orthopedics and Performance about 8 minutes from this location. We were talking about the shoulders. We were talking about a lot of common complaints about your athletes or your members are shoulder related, correct?
I think most people that work out typically are going to, or exercise, compete in sports, are going to experience some sort of shoulder discomfort, right?
And that's a lot of times an active population. There's a lot of range of motion, planes of motion that shoulder can move in, and that raises the risk of injury.
Okay, and so what kind of things, what are the steps that we would need to take to help prevent that stuff and actually recover from any of those injuries?
And I've tried to break it down to almost 3 steps.
Okay.
The first step is to relax the shoulder.
Okay.
We'll do that with a lacrosse ball. It's a myofascial release, a self-massage technique.
Okay.
Step number 2 is to lengthen the shoulder to increase your range of motion, how you move in those different planes. Are they symmetrical? Do you move the same?
So lengthen like stretching, right?
Stretching, basically, a static stretch. And the third is to activate the shoulder, which basically means to turn on the muscles.
Okay, and that's where we would strengthen those muscles, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Dr. Tim, we noticed that a lot of our members and people that work out in general, whether they're athletes or people that are just casual exercisers, experience some shoulder discomfort, tightness, sometimes pain that leads to injury from working out and sometimes from not stretching before they work out. So what are some things that they can do to recover or prevent those injuries in the first place?
Yeah, so talking about injuries, the shoulder is a really injury-prone joint. It's got a lot of range of motion, and so with that, there's a higher risk of injury. Josh has a lot of these guys lying around in terms of the gym, and it's called a lacrosse ball. There's certain things you can start doing in order to decrease that achiness and some of that stiffness that you said some of your members have complained about.
Absolutely. I mean, I think it's pretty common for people that are working out because it's such a delicate joint. So we want to just go through a couple ways we can use that lacrosse ball to really show people how to get a better stretch, to get those muscles feeling better before, during, and after a workout. A question that Josh gets asked all the time is when to use a lacrosse ball. You got to think of working out as turning on your car. It turns on the muscles, they get activated. What his members will then say to him and what active population says is, okay, well afterwards, why do I feel stiff? Why do I feel achy? Well, you never turn the key off. So the lacrosse ball works to turn the key off and turn that car off and to actually put you into a relaxation mode. So what I'm going to have Josh do is he's going to come over here. And do you ever have that problem? Do you ever have any stiffness or achiness? Every once in a while, I try to stretch out as much as I can, but sometimes in the rear delt, other times it'll be through the pec and the front of the shoulder.
So let's go into his rear delt first. So what he's going to do, he's going to take this lacrosse ball, he's going to place it on the back of his shoulder, he's going to lean into the wall. Do you feel anything up top in terms of achiness or?
Not right away.
Not really?
How hard should I be pushing into it?
So it should not make you hold your breath. And so, but a decent amount.
So I'm not trying to hurt myself.
You're not trying to hurt
yourself. Punish myself. Okay.
You're just leaning in so you feel that the ball will start to go into that shoulder, but shouldn't be making you hold your breath. Now, what if you rotate up and down a little bit? Do you find any tender spots, or does it all feel the same?
Yeah, as I get it down a little bit lower through that shoulder, I can feel it's a little more tender right there.
And that's what we're looking for. So when he's rolling, he's looking for that tender spot. So once he finds it, what he does is he applies a little bit more pressure. He leans back a little bit. Still not painful, right?
No.
So it shouldn't be sharp. He's not holding his breath. If Josh passes out, we're in trouble. He's going to put his arm at a 90-degree angle right here, and then all he does is he starts to rotate his arm back and forth. What do you feel that when you oscillate your arm back and forth?
So it feels like a little more of a hot spot or something. There's a little bit more pressure as I rotate open.
You'll start to feel the muscle move a little bit almost.
I can feel it as it surges back here. I can feel it almost feels like the ball's gotten bigger. That makes any sense, right?
So he pinned down the knot, he tacked it down, that irritated part of the muscle. He leaned into it and he starts to floss his arm back and forth, which moves the muscle back and forth. Now, you're not going to sit here for hours and do this. A lot of times a good rep range is about 20 repetitions, 20 oscillations back and forth. And then what he does is he backs off the pressure, makes sure the ball doesn't lose the ball, then he reapplies it, and then he rescans. Notice any change, any spot that's maybe more tender, less tender?
No, but that spot that was tender doesn't seem as tender anymore.
And a lot of times that's what you're looking for. If you recheck and it became more tender, you're probably pushing too hard. If you recheck and you're like, I feel like the ball goes in a little bit easier, it's not making me, cringe my face every single time now, then you are going in the right direction and pushing hard enough. He can actually, do you have anything to the front ever?
I get some tightness through there because I have push-ups, bench press, stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Right?
So anything like a pressing type motion, that anterior delt, those muscles in the front will get fired up. So what he does is he reverses his body.
So just pressing my chest against it here?
Yeah, so right to that shoulder joint. He leans into it. He looks for find any tender spots?
Yeah, right there.
So he finds the tender spots, what we're looking for. When he applies that pressure, now his arm is moving side to side and up and down. All right, again, maybe 20 repetitions. Shouldn't make you hold your breath. Shouldn't have any tingling or numbness down your arm or anything like that. Just nice and gentle. Once he relaxes that tension and backs off the wall, a lot of times, any difference in moving your shoulder around, we didn't work out right before this, obviously, but...
No, it feels pretty good. I mean,
yeah.
It feels like, I can feel it's warm through the muscle as well.
Yep.
So it feels like there's been some massaging.
Yeah, it's almost like a form of self-massage.
Sure.
You're bringing blood flow to the muscle, and what we're doing more importantly, if we had just worked out and done a bunch of burpees, you'd probably be saying something really different, is that muscle's more relaxed. It turns off the muscle. You know, like, okay, it's time to go home. Because if you haven't sent your body that signal, you're gonna go home tense throughout the night and still have shoulder pain.
We just got done doing some foam rolling or some self-myofascial release techniques with Dr. Tim, and now we're going to talk a little bit about stretching. So Dr. Tim, why is it important to stretch those muscles?
Yeah, so a big predictor of shoulder injuries is an asymmetry, so it's worth feeling if you feel any, like checking if you feel any asymmetries.
Okay, so how would we check?
So what I can have you do is you're going to arm to your side, and I want you to put both straight up and go towards your ears. So we're looking to be able to get your elbows by your ears. And you can definitely do that. Do they feel the same to you, or does one feel tighter compared to the other?
They feel about the same right now.
They feel about the same? Okay, what if we were to go to the side and do like a snow angel type technique? So back at your, and straight up.
Yeah, this one feels, my left arm feels a little bit tighter through that range of motion.
Okay.
But not too different.
Okay, so Josh is pretty equal, and he's a pretty healthy guy and a fit individual, so you're expecting that. It's not a crazy surprise. If you find one that is definitely different, that's the side you want to focus on, but it's worth going through and actually doing a stretch to both increase that range of motion. Sometimes I'll have people go through and they're like, both feel tight. Okay, cool, here's something we can do.
Mm-hmm. And I can always just stretch both sides anyway, just to keep them both stretched out
keep
on a regular basis.
Yeah, you're not gonna overdo this. You can overdo the foam rolling, you can't really overdo this.
So let's show them how to do it.
Sure. So you're gonna use this band, and I'm gonna have you grab onto it with your wrist or loop it around your wrist, either way.
So I can grab it this way, or should I grab it here?
But either are fine.
Okay.
Yep. I like that loop. It kind of relaxes out the muscles. So in that position, your thumb is going to be pointed straight up. Yep. Your thumb is going to be pointed straight up.
Okay.
All you're going to do is you're going to rotate at your hips, and he should feel this stretch. Where do you feel this, Josh?
Right through that front of my shoulder and that pec.
Yeah, absolutely. This is almost like an opening stretch where people who spend their whole life or their whole time at work flexed over and crunched over and then go through into a bunch of exercise, get really tight through here, and this will give you better posture and open up the shoulders.
Yeah, so if I'm someone who sits at a computer or maybe in my car all day, this is going to be a good
absolutely.
stretch. Good.
Yep. Another thing you can do is once you rotate back, you can rotate your thumb down, and what that does is it almost closes down the capsule, closes down the shoulder. And does that stretch feel any different or feel the same?
It feels a little bit different, but I still feel the stretch. I also feel something a little bit up through the top of the shoulder as well as I'm rotating through here.
Yep. So you're changing the angle of the muscle, and he feels it more into that mid delt as opposed to just through that anterior delt.
And so I'm holding this for about 20 seconds, you said?
20 seconds or so.
Okay.
About 3 sets of 20 seconds is optimal to go through and relax out the shoulder.
Okay.
The last technique is he's going to go in that position and then rotate his hips the opposite way. And you should feel this stretch
in the back of my shoulder.
Into the back of his shoulder.
Through here, yeah.
Yep. And so we realized we went through Josh and we did the lacrosse ball to the front, side, and back. Here's another technique. You can start to lengthen the shoulder and increase that tissue and increase your range of motion.
Sure. And this doesn't take a very heavy band either, right? You can do this with any sort of resistance band. I just might need to step a little further away from the beam to make the tension
absolutely.
a little bit heavier.
Yep. Another thing you can honestly do is if you go ahead and drop the band, and even if you're just doing this at home now, which is important to do this stuff at home, if you go up to the wall and just put your hand on the wall like that, and then you can get a similar rotation going to the side. Does that feel similar to the first one we did?
Yeah.
You can do the same thing with his thumb rotated down as well.
And you can do this like in a doorway as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, very good stretch. Nice. Feels nice and loose now. Okay, so we just got done relaxing those muscles and stretching those shoulder muscles out. So now, Dr. Tim, what's the next step?
So the next step would be to strengthen. Once the tissue is healthy and there's no trigger points or knots that you're rolling, once you have good range of motion, strengthening is key. Strengthening with full range of motion is super important.
Okay, so what are the ones we're going to do today?
You have any of this lying around the gym?
Yeah, so it's a TheraBand, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So this is isolated strengthening. So we want to strengthen the shoulder. So you're going to grab this with your right hand. What you'll need to do, this TheraBand has loops in it, but you may need to go through and actually tie a loop at the bottom of your TheraBand.
And technically, could we also just take one TheraBand and loop it this way if we needed to?
Yeah, totally depends.
So there's a lot of different ways to do it.
There's 1,000 different ways,
okay,
yeah.
Awesome.
Yep. So all you're going to do is you're going to take that loop, whatever he does, and he's going to put it over his foot. So here's his starting position, where basically when he goes up into this position with his hip bent and his elbow bent, his shoulder bent, there's no tension on the band. He turns the tension on by pushing down with his foot. You feel an increase in tension there, where at
through my shoulders, pulling me down.
Yeah, right into the front of the shoulder. What he's going to do from here is he's going to slowly lower. Is that challenging?
Yeah, if I go a little slower, the more tension, the longer it takes, the more I feel it there. There we go.
And usually, Josh, we're looking for about 5 seconds.
Okay.
He resets, no tension, right?
Nope.
Lowers his foot, feel that tension in the shoulder.
Tension.
Okay, and then he slowly lowers that band. So what we're doing is, does this feel different than like doing a lateral raise or a push press or anything like that?
Yeah, it does, because it's obviously the tension in the shoulders a little bit different because I'm trying to go a little slower.
Yeah.
And there's a much slower range of motion.
And where this is worth doing is because that part of this exercise isn't practiced commonly. That's the eccentric, the lowering portion. A lot of injuries actually happen when you're lowering your body weight, and this practices that. That's not happening throughout the day.
We're just focused on pushing the weight, right? And as fast as we can.
So you felt that one all into the front, correct?
Yep.
Okay. Go into that same position, but go out to the side. Now he's in his starting position. He pushes down. Where do you feel it now?
Now I feel it in the back of my shoulder.
A little bit more into the back of the shoulder. So we switch the positions in terms of what muscle's activating. When he's slower, lowering, not painful or anything, right? It shouldn't be. Normal rep range, 10 reps, 3 sets, something like that.
It feels like a nice slow kind of burn to it, where I can feel the muscle working, but without it feeling any pain, without me feeling like at any point I couldn't keep doing it.
Yeah, feels fatiguing, but nothing sharp, nothing shooting, nothing like that.
Really feel the muscle working.
So we hit the front and the side, right?
Yep.
So we're going to go through and we're going to do one more motion where Josh is going to be sitting down.
Okay.
We're going to activate the back part of the muscle. So in this position, he's going to start with his hip bent up, just like every other thing. His arm is going to be out at 90 degrees at the armpit and 90 degrees at the elbow. What he does is he kicks that knee straight. Where do you feel that tension?
Now I feel it through my shoulder, again through the back of my shoulder a little bit.
Focusing on the back of his shoulder. And then the same lowering motion with you can see his shoulder stays the same in terms of this angle here, and he just rotates his forearm forward.
So I'm trying to make sure that from my shoulder through my elbow stay parallel to the floor.
Exactly.
Right?
Those should always stay at 90 degrees.
So I bring it in.
He resets. He activates the muscle. He slowly rotates forward.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. And then bring it back up.
Activate, slowly rotates forward.
And then, so how many reps of this would we be doing?
About the same. About 10 reps is usually a good place to stop. And what you're looking for is by that 10th rep, you should feel a little tired. You know? Kind of like in here. By that last rep, you should be like, okay, I gave everything I could. If not, you can increase that weight, obviously.
Awesome. So then when we put all these things together, what we should be getting is healthier shoulders that can do more work and more confidence and prevent those common injuries that simply come most of the time just from not doing the things to prevent them, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Turning off the muscle after working out is key. Lengthening to get symmetrical range of motion, and then strengthening to avoid injuries is a big part of that puzzle.
Awesome. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.